Alright, I still don't get why we're canceling Pokemon now. I know I might be like a week too late to the party, but a couple of days ago there was like a huge leak on Game Freak, the company doing the Pokemon games. It's not the first time that something like this happens, but this time is kind of different. The thing is that the leaker now got his hands on a future Pokemon title, and not only that, they revealed some unused material or lore bibles that they were using in the making of Pokemon Legends Arceus. You know, the game that tells the story of Diamond and Pearl, but a lot of centuries ago. Now, what they found in those notepads was very interesting. To be honest, most of these tales are just unhinged and a bit unsettling interaction between Pokemon and humans from like a lot of centuries ago that were not used, or if they were to be present in the game, are way more lighter than what we have here. Let me remind you something, these are not canon, just discarded material or some bibles of lore used as a guide while writing Pokemon Arceus. But whatever the hell, you've probably seen all the memes at this point, so today we'll be reading through 3 of those tales. The most unhinged ones, that is, of course. Because hey, I thought they were funny, and when I first heard about the Typhlosion thing, I thought it was very disturbing, but as you might already know, people always blow this kind of stuff out of proportion, so without further ado, let's get right into the video. Long ago, when the boundary between Pokemon and humans wasn't clear, there was a village somewhere. One day, a girl from that village went into the mountains to gather firewood. She found well-dried, dead wood deep in the forest, so she kept going further in. Before she realized it, the sun was setting and she had lost her way. Around her, there were droppings from a Typhlosion, which made the girl anxious. Just then, a man appeared from the other side of the forest. His face didn't resemble anyone from the village, but he was very handsome. Then, the man said, "You must be lost, right? I know the way down the mountain, but with your pace, it would be midnight before we get there. I'll take you back tomorrow morning, so why don't you rest at my place tonight?" The girl had no choice but to agree to the man's suggestion. The man took her hand and began to walk. As the evening fell, they arrived at a large cave. "This is my home. You must be hungry, right? Wait here." Saying that, the man went outside the cave. After he left, a red light shone far away in the mountains, and there was the sound of trees swaying. Before long, the man returned carrying many red berries. He said, "Eat this, then let's sleep for the night. Even if you wake up before I do, don't look at my face." The next morning, when the girl woke up, the man was still asleep. She honored their promise and stayed lying down, waiting. Before long, she fell back asleep. She was awakened by the man's voice. When she looked outside, the sun was already setting. "Today, we'll eat green berries. Wait here." With that, he went out of the cave. After he left, the same red light shone from far away, and the sound of trees swaying echoed once more. By the time the sun had set completely, the man returned, carrying many green berries. He said, "Eat this, then let's leave for the night. Even if you wake up before I do, don't look at my face." The girl expressed her concern that her family would be worried and that she wanted to go home soon. The man yawned widely and tapped her on the head. At that moment, she completely forgot about her family and home. The two of them ate the green berries together and then fell asleep. The same routine continued, with them waking up when the sun had set, the man going out to gather berries, and the two of them eating and sleeping together. Eventually, the girl realized that the man was a Typhlosion. As winter approached, Typhlosion dug deeper into the cave and said to the girl, "Go and gather wood and firewood. Break off the branches from the higher parts of the tall trees." The girl tried to do as the Typhlosion instructed, but the tall trees scared her, so she could only climb the shorter ones. When she brought back some branches, the Typhlosion said, "That won't do. If it's not from the higher branches, humans will find us." When the snow began to fall, the two of them lived in the depth of the cave, mostly sleeping. There was plenty of food, and occasionally they would wake up, eat, and then go back to sleep. One day, when she woke up, the girl was holding a child. After several days and nights passed, the Typhlosion said, "Your father is looking for you. But you are my wife, so I can't return you. I will have to fight him." "Please, don't do that. Don't kill my father. How can I live with you if you kill my family? You're a good person, so please, stay here with me and sleep." "Alright, let's stay here and sleep." The man nodded. The next night, the Typhlosion woke the girl and said, "Your father is close by. Go and see." When the girl went outside, a snowstorm was raging. She climbed a low tree and broke off a branch. When she returned to the cave, the Typhlosion was singing a song she had never heard before. You broke off a branch, didn't you? Soon your father will come here. I'm going to do something bad to your father. If I'm killed, take my eyes, my voice and my heart. Build a fire in the spot where I was killed, and then burn them. And while they burn, sing this song until the fire goes out. The girl said, please don't do it, don't kill my father. If anyone is to be killed, let it be you. Goodbye. We will never meet again. With those words, the Typhlosion went outside. After a while, there was a loud noise, and when the girl looked outside, she saw her father had killed the Typhlosion. She rushed out and said to her father, Father, you have killed my husband. I have been living with him all this time. He was my husband. Please, give me my husband, the Typhlosion eyes, voice and heart. The girl built a fire at the place where the Typhlosion had been killed and put his eyes, voice and heart into the flames. She sang the song the Typhlosion had taught her until the fire burnt out. The girl's father built a small hut on the edge of the village for the girl and her child to live in. Eventually, spring arrived. The young men of the village often teased and tormented the girl and her child. It became worse over the time, and one day, they tried to drop a Typhlosion spell over them. The girl returned home and pleaded with her parents. Please, tell the villagers to stop teasing us. If they put that pelt on us, we will surely become Typhlosions. We are already half Typhlosion as it is. Despite the parents' pleas, the villagers did not listen. In fact, they found it even more amusing and eventually dropped the Typhlosion pelt over the girl and her child. At that moment, they howled loudly and vanished into the depth of the forest. The two were never seen again. And so, people came to understand Typhlosions are half-human beings. Funny enough, Typhlosion is inspired by a yokai from Japanese culture, the Mujina, which is in fact just a honey badger. These creatures were depicted as being shape-shifting, and apparently, in one tale, one of these creatures impersonated or acted as a shogun, so this might be the reason why, in this tale, Typhlosion is stated that is half-human, and can turn other humans into half-Typhlosions too. Also, I'm aware of the whole kidnapping part and all the memes and general noise that this has sparked in social media in the last few days. Also, I read somewhere that these stories are just Japanese folktales modified and adapted to feature Pokemon, and were used as guides to write the lore and stories behind the mythos of Pokemon Arceus. So take it with a grain of salt. Also, this is not the first time in legends and mythologies that we see this sort of, interspecies relationships depicted. So I don't get the whole scandal that people are doing. Okay, the following story also have some weird themes, but it gets very unhinged at the end, so here we go. There was a time when the boundary between Pokemon and humans was blurred. In a coastal village, there was a man. One day, as he was walking along the shore, he found a female Octillery washed up on the beach. The man had relations with the Octillery, and then threw it back into the sea. The next day, he went into the same spot and found the same Octillery again. He once more had relations with it, and threw it back into the sea as before. One night, after several days had passed, the man had a dream. In that dream, the Octillery spoke to him. I cannot come to you, but I will deliver our child to you. It's our child, yours and mine. The next morning, the man went to the place where he had met the Octillery. There, he found a boy. The man took the boy home and raised him. Time passed. The boy grew into a young man, and the father passed away. The young man was always lonely. One day, as the young man was walking along the shore, he saw a group of people playing in the distance. They all held very large swords in their hands as they danced. The young man approached the people. As he got closer, he saw that Sharpedo were playing along the beach. When he tried to get even closer, the Sharpedo suddenly leapt into the sea, all at once. However, one of the Sharpedo lingered, looking around 3 times before swimming away. At the spot where the Sharpedo had been playing, there was a large sword laying on the ground. It was a shape he had never seen before, and it was very sharp and pointed. The young man took the sword home. The next day, the young man took the sword and went into the forest. When walking through the forest, he encountered an Ursaring. He tried slashing at the Ursaring's mouth with the sword, and the mouth was easily severed. Next, he stabbed at the Ursaring's eyes, and they were easily pierced. Finally, the young man thrust the sword into the Ursaring's chest, and the Ursaring died effortlessly. That day, the young man killed 30 Ursarings. After that, he always carried the sword with him, playing by injuring the Pokemon he encountered or cutting off parts of their bodies. One autumn, while the young man was searching for firewood, he lost his way. After walking for a while, he stumbled upon an Ursaring's den. Inside, there was an elderly ursaring laying down. The elderly ursaring looked at the young man and said, "Come inside." The young man hesitated, but as it was getting dark outside, he entered the den. Before long, people began to enter the den one after another, filling the room completely. Looking closer, he saw that all the people had scarred faces and some were missing their eyes. They were chatting among themselves, but the young man ignored them and fell asleep. At one point, he woke up to find the elderly ursaring laying beside him. He fell asleep. When he awoke once more, there were many people around, talking about something. Again, the young man ignored them and went back to sleep. Okay, I don't really like where this is going. When spring arrived, the elderly ursaring spoke. "Do you want to go home? Then I shall send you home. When you return, a whalelord will soon be found near the village. Go there. We will send a man. You must leave the sword behind and bring a witness." "Why did you do such things? Cutting faces and slicing off noses." The elderly ursaring escorted the young man back to the village. The young man recounted everything that had happened to the villagers. The following morning, the young man took some villagers with him and headed to the shore. As they walked along the coast, they found a large whalelord. Nearby, on the beach, was a teddy ursa. When it noticed the young man, the teddy ursa hid in the forest, and a large ursaring came out in its place. As the ursaring charged at him, the young man tried to draw the sword he had hidden, but it got stuck, and he couldn't pull it out. So he rushed at the ursaring with his bare hands. The young man and the ursaring grappled, punching each other's faces. They strangled each other with all their strength, and so they choked each other to death, collapsing in top of one another. The villagers went back and told the others what they had seen. Okay, excluding the auxiliary activities part, this tale is very unhinged. Then again, it reads like one of the Greek mythos. A man who is part deity, to put it in some way, the deity being the auxiliary, fighting the fauna of the forest until one of the greater animals defeats him. Then again, I'm pretty sure that there's some folktale that talks about something very similar to this, and it was only rewritten a little bit to fit the Pokemon world. Okay, let's check the following story. Let's see what we have here. Okay, I don't have any argument to defend this one. In the distant past, where the boundaries between Pokemon and humans was still blurred, there was a woman and her companions. Every day, they were bored, so they would often catch Slakoths living in the nearby forest. They played cruel games with the captured Slakoths, sometimes killing them for fun, gouging out their eyes or cutting off their ears. One day, the woman was walking along in the forest and saw a Slakoth hanging from the tree. She climbed the tree to catch it, but she slipped and injured herself. At that moment, a Vigoroth appeared. This Vigoroth had a torn ear. The woman, startled, tried to flee, but her injured leg hurt too much, and she couldn't move. The Vigoroth with the torn ear suddenly attacked her when it saw her. The woman lost consciousness. When she awoke, she was in an unfamiliar place. Before her lay a clear lake, surrounded by trees from which many Slakoth and Vigoroth were hanging. All the Pokemon bore wounds somewhere on their bodies, marks left by the woman and her companions. Upon closer inspection, she noticed that some of the Slakoth hanging from the trees were corpses. They were the very Slakoths that the woman and her friends had killed and discarded. The Slakoths were throwing those corpses into the lake. Terrified, the woman tried to run away, but a Slaking appeared. This Slaking also had a torn ear. The woman realized that this was the same Vigoroth that she had seen earlier, and fear overwhelmed her, causing her to faint once more. When the woman regained consciousness, she found herself at the entrance of the forest near her home, surrounded by her friends. They carried her back to her house. Sometime later, the woman gave birth to a child, but it wasn't a human child. It was a Slakoth. She intended to abandon it, but couldn't bring herself to do so. She stopped meeting with her friends and decided to raise the Slakoth. One day, her friends, concerned about her, visited the area near her home. They found the Slakoth sleeping there, the child of the woman. As they always did, they caught the Slakoth, stabbed it in the chest, and killed it. They took its corpse and headed to the woman's house. When she saw the slain Slakoth, the woman was overwhelmed with sorrow. She grabbed the Slakoth's body and ran deep into the forest. Her friends, shocked, chased after her. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the surroundings suddenly opened up, and they found the same clear lake from before. Around the lake were many Slakoth and Vigoroth. The woman stood before the lake, and holding the lifeless body of the Slakoth, she threw herself into the water. Afterwards, the woman's friends began to treat the Slakoth as companions, just as he had in her final moments. Okay, I don't know why these stories have a thing for animal abuse, and this is by far the most unhinged of the bunch. Although I'm pretty sure that some people may argue that this was karmic retribution, so who knows. So if we are counting which Pokemon are apparently vicious by nature, according to these tales, that might be Typhlosion for sure. Now, to wrap this up, we have some sort of version of the creation mythos of the Pokemon world regarding Arceus. In the beginning, there was a swell of chaos. Everything slowly mixed together, and everything was unclear. One day, a large egg appeared in the center. The egg continued to sway there. The egg spilled out and broke. The absolute god, Aus, was born. The scattered pieces of the shell transformed into giants and attacked the newly born Aus, one after another. However, Aus continued to grow rapidly and continued to defeat the giants. A fierce battle ensued, but finally, Aus defeated all the giants. Wounded, Aus decided to create an alter ego. As the left and right sides of Aus's body looked different, he decided to create two alter egos. Aus gathered the bodies of the giants he had defeated and poured his own blood into them. When the alter ego, modeled after his left side, was burned, the area was filled with light. Aus named it Ea, the god of light. And when the one who resembled his right side was burned, time began to flow. Aus named him Ea, the god of time. But there is something more to this. In a time when the world had no clear form, when the boundaries between gods, humans and Pokemon were ambiguous, the absolute god, Aus, created a giant, a manifestation of its chaotic power, for the ultimate creation of the world. This giant had the power to destroy, consume and purify everything. With the giant's power, all walls were shattered and the world expanded. There was a man. One day, a wounded woman collapsed in the land where he lived. The man took her home and cared for her tenderly. Eventually, they fell in love, and when all her wounds had healed, the woman became pregnant with her child. After a while, she gave birth to twins. Then, the woman transformed into the divine figure and began to speak. I am a god known as Aus. I once lived in a place different from here. However, I was driven here by my own manifestation, the giant. Since the giant is a part of me, I cannot kill it, and it will eventually descend upon this world. Until that day comes, I hope you will raise those children with care. Only those children who possess the power of God, human and Pokemon, can kill the giant. After finishing her tale, Aus vanished from the man. The man named the twins after the two words he felt when he saw Aus' true form. Ea, meaning light, and Ea, meaning time. Okay, I'm not gonna get into the Genesis story, okay? I'm not getting into the story of creation of the Pokemon world. I just wanted to point out the weird part about Arceus. Which, if you think about it, most of the Greek mythology also works like this. The main god of the pantheon, that being Zeus, appears to a woman or a man, giving her or him a child. That child then becomes a demigod, and a lot of stuff happened in the Greek mythos, but you already know that. We have to remember that these are not canon and were discarded for a reason. But anyways, that would be it for today. I hope you liked the video, and if that's the case, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and write me a comment down below. That really helps me on the channel. And with that said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.